Welcome back to CIE's HowToAV. You join us at the security event as we launch our brand new series, HowToAV Access All Areas. We're going to bring you all the latest products, technologies, innovations and trends from the security and access control industry. Welcome back to CIE's HowToAV Access All Areas. We're on the CIE stand at the security event 2022. Found Kevin relaxing at the coffee bar on one of very few quiet moments. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Great show already.
Yep.
One of the big stories at the show, of course, is contactless access control, contactless authentication. What is contactless and why does it matter in this post-COVID era?
Obviously post-COVID, there is a whole reaction against physically touching a product. So again, the only real way we can look at it is contactless. It's fair to say that existing technologies like RFID, yeah, that is contactless to a degree, but you're still going quite close with it. So a lot of new technologies have developed themselves and starting to come to the fore now. There's also a move, not just because of COVID, to actually have it within your smart device. So like your mobile, you mentioned, but then also your face. I don't want to carry a card, it gets lost, keys get missing, things of that ilk. So it's about the experience that's actually, if it's quick and it's easy, and that the only real way to do that is contactless.
So if we step back to pre-COVID and some of the technologies that we were using for access and we were using for authentication, of course, the most obvious is a keypad.
Yep.
And with regards to biometric, there was a lot of fingerprint access because that is a really secure technology,
yeah.
But there's been a real move away from that, hasn't there?
There has. I think the problem for the biometric, for the finger scanner, there's a historic issue, and that is with moisture on the finger. It can't read the fingerprint. So yeah, we know fingerprints are highly secure, but the problem with the technology is you get it dirty, your fingers are dirty, you leave a residential mark actually on the unit, it doesn't read the next person, you're having to clean them, you've got them outside, you've got water running on them. So for certain applications, they are very much the ideal technology, but they have their problems. And because of that, this is why these new technologies are coming through. So facial recognition, QR coding, again, is another big element of it. It's never say that RFID has had its day, because it hasn't. It's not really taken off in the form of NFC, because Apple don't use NFC apart from Apple Pay. But again, it's still a limitation of it. So I think the other element is we need it highly secure. We want something that's biometrically used, and therefore now you're seeing this move towards facial recognition, towards QR coding, because QR coding is far more secure than RFID.
So we're already used to, of course, using a key fob or using a card for RFID, which is contactless in itself, works quite well. But that really requires that physical key that can easily get lost or need sending to new tenants. So there's a lot of management work there to do. Therefore, there is such a huge crossover, and we're seeing it throughout the show, towards mobile access. And therefore using your smartphone as your key, in effect. And as you've mentioned, there are various technologies that we can use on our smartphone. You talk about QR code, and we'll talk about that in a moment. There are various contactless within our phones. So if we talk about NFC and Bluetooth, first of all, both of which can be found in our smartphone. So what's the difference and why are we using one over the other?
I think as far as the Bluetooth element of it is, it's not Bluetooth in the way that we think of Bluetooth, I guess, as day-to-day use, where we're connecting to a hi-fi. You know, it's a simple pair and it's not that, it's not. It's quite a specific technology. It's BLE, so it's Bluetooth low energy. We don't want to drain our phones down, but it's how it interacts. You know, 2N have got wave key. It's a fantastic product. The use of it is really neat. It's really easy to use. What sits behind it is very complex. And the way that they utilise the GPRS in the phone, they're tracking movement towards the lock. If you're going away from it, it ignores you. If you're moving towards you, it's ready to open. And I think that people like that element of it. You know, I don't have to get a phone out and push a button on it. I can just make it know I'm coming towards the door. Not necessarily press the unit. You know, we can press our phone. And again, you're right, we're used to using, you know, fingerprint in our phone now. We're used to using facial scanning just to access our phone. So we're a lot more used to using it now. So Bluetooth's got a real place for it, but there are still people that don't necessarily trust Bluetooth yet. And there's always been an argument about facial recognition. Yeah. And oh, my face is in it. And again, we go back to the whole issues of people gaining access to VMSs and things of that ilk, camera hacking. The cyber security element now is obviously the buzzword. That's the thing that everybody wants to know about. So facial, I think, has become a lot more accepted. There was a lot of skepticism about how secure it was, but it's where you use it. You know, you're not going to use facial recognition if you're going into a missile silo or you're defending the country. But it's perfectly acceptable and highly usable for somebody who's in residential care, who's got dementia, who they don't remember to carry the key. So as they've got their face, as long as they present their face. And again, it's the experience. If I can register you, send it very easy to you in a secure method, you can use a QR code, open a door because you're visiting my apartment, gaining entry to the lobby, going through the car park barrier.
So let's talk about QR codes. QR codes it's quite an old technology now. It's 12, 15 years old, and it really didn't have that much engagement pre-COVID. And during COVID had such a resurgence as we used it for ordering apps in restaurants and posters, and it saw that resurgence. And now we're really starting to see growth of it in the access control market. Really as a temporary key, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So for our Amazon deliveries or for service access, that's where it's being used, and it allows the end user or the resident to remotely send a key from their mobile, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, and you can also generate within the management software. We're seeing it now with QR codes being embossed into the top of delivery notes. So the driver, because he's got an invoice for the goods, he just shows the QR code, and that allows him into a development, into a distribution warehouse. There's a big move to unmanned security now. So therefore, you've got to have this technology, one in, one out. So QR codes are ideal for that.
And I guess when we talk about security and we talk about contactless, one of the other things you've just made me think of is, we'll call it dual authentication or multi-layer authentication, and that's to mix and match different authentication technologies.
It is, yeah.
So you might be using Bluetooth and face recognition, or using a keypad and fingerprint control. So making sure that it isn't a simple case of a key fob or a smartphone that's been stolen, but making sure that there are effectively two keys there in one place at one time.
Yeah.
Contactless technology is absolutely the buzzword here at the security event, and is absolutely the future of access control and door intercoms. If you'd like to find out more, contact the CIE team, click on the link below, and we'll tell you all about the way forward for your next project.